I have Darren Van Valera, Associate Director of Enforcement, and Derek Coles, the Assistant Director of Enforcement, who will provide helpful information to the NCAA membership, to student athletes and their families about what a men's basketball student athlete should do once they decide they want to test the waters as it relates to their pursuit of a professional basketball career. Darren, I'd like to start this conversation by asking a basic question. If you are a Division I men's basketball player in 2021 and you want to test the waters after your playing season, what is the first step in that process?
Well, thanks, Angela. I appreciate you helping us with this. I think the first step for the student athlete is to have a conversation with their head coach. I think it's important for everybody to be aware of kind of what your thought process is. If you're going through this process to test the waters, you have eligibility remaining, and you want to make sure that everybody's on the same page so that the coach knows exactly what you're thinking and what steps you're taking. And sometimes that might be a difficult conversation for the student athlete to have with the player. And I know sometimes the student with the coach, and sometimes the student athlete thinks that the coach is only worried about his team. But coaches want what's best for their players. And what you don't want to do is kind of go through this process and not tell your head coach, and he finds out second or third hand that you're testing the waters, and then something happens and the student athlete wants to come back to the team for next year. You worry about kind of the trust level there and the confidence that there is an open dialogue between the head coach and the student athlete. So I think the first thing would be to have that conversation, explain to the coach what you're thinking and that you might want to go through this process. And the coach can provide valuable feedback. I mean, the coach might provide feedback to the student athlete about things that the student athlete wasn't even thinking about. And so I think it's important to keep those lines of communication with the head coach open.
That's great and really helpful as part of to kick this off. So I'm going to turn to Derek here, and now that you've made this decision, the student athlete has made the decision to talk to their coaches, talked about their aspirations of what they want to do, maybe pursue a career in professional basketball. What is the next step that those student athletes should do and why?
I think for a student athlete, the next step is definitely very crucial, and that's having that relationship and that dialogue with the compliance administrator. As the student athlete talks to the coach, which is awesome, they also need to let the compliance administrator know as well. The compliance administrator can provide a lot of information to make sure we protect that student athlete's eligibility. And so I think having that open dialogue to talk about the agent process, the recruiting process, and once they sign with the agent, what can they do and cannot do? I think that's going to be very crucial in their decision to come back to school. So I think having that open, just transparency with the compliance administrator to make sure they're understanding the do's and don'ts. So they do have the opportunity, if they decide to come back to school, they still have the eligibility